Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. If you've got a new dulcimer or a dulcimer that's been sitting around not being played or a dulcimer that's in a case somewhere, I have a recommendation for you to help you with the habits in the new year. Here's a dulcimer in a case. If I'm going to think, oh, I got to play my dulcimer, I don't know if I have time to go get it and pick it out, and I got to unzip it. It's so many things. Just so many things to do. Just to play. And then it's not in tune. Okay, well, I've got it in tune. That took me a little bit. It wasn't that long a time, but it took me a little bit. So the thing that is really probably the best tip of all is to find some way to let your dulcimer be out where you can just grab it when the inspiration grabs you. And let me put this in here. And then let's go over here. And let's turn down the volume. Yep. Okay. And let me refresh. There's a couple of steps. There we go. Apparently. New year, new dulcimer, new habits. So this is the first one, and that's having everything out where you can get to it. If you're playing with a pick, keeping your pick nearby. I don't know if you can't see that I don't have a music stand in front of me. I'm not trying to play a piece of music. I'm just playing. So keep it out where you can get to it. You can see this one is up. And every week when you come to the live stream, you can see that this is up. That is the biggest blessing of all, to have a place where I can have it up, where I can get to it and play it. And I tell you, I play it a lot more than if I wait for the inspiration to strike and then go get the case and pull it out and set it up and tune it up. When it's out like this, I got my tuner on here. This is a wonderful tool, by the way. Having some kind of a tuning tool is really, really important. This is a Dulcitune. It uses a snark tuner, but it's got this wonderful bendable thing that Dusty Strings developed. It's got a hex head thing, so it can just sit right on top of the tuning pegs. I can turn it on and have it face me, so that when I pluck the string, it immediately tells me. I don't know if you can see that display very well, but you can see that it changes. There's a display that tells me the note that it's closest to, and a green bar that tells me when it's in tune. A yellow bar. Let's see what happened. Which one is it? It's red if it's low, it's yellow if it's high. So it gives me a graphic way of seeing what's going on. Snark makes tuners. There's a lot of other people that make tuners that can clip onto your instrument. If you don't, the benefit of a clip-on thing is when it is clipped on, it is only reading you. It's not reading all the sounds in the room. And when you have a group of people or any kind of noise, ambient noise, that can be confusing. Hey, Happy New Year, Andrew. And you're right. It really saves a lot of time. There's also a great app that I use on my phone. It's called iStrobosoft by Peterson. And let's see if the light will let me do that. Yep, you can see it. This one cost, in app world, it's an expensive tuner. It was like $9.99 or $14.99. I can't remember, but it's worth every penny. This one, as I'm playing the string, tells me it's a little sharp, a little flat. I'm trying to get all the bars to stay still. And then there we go. Now, I don't have anything that clips to my instrument to filter out the ambient noise. So that's the challenge of that. Oh, let me put in the names. I forgot to put up the graphics. That's why I did these. So you can see here we are, new year, new Dulcimer, new habits on Dulciboro Mountain and Hammer Dulcimer. And I am Steve Yulberg, and this is Dulcimer Crossing. There we go. We've got the branding done, and it's now not in the way of the instrument. Now, having it tuned up, one of the things I noticed, everything on here was sharp, right? I live in Central California on the coast. So this is our winter, and for us in the Mediterranean climate, winter means moisture. So it's raining a lot. When an instrument is in a climate, there's a lot of moisture, the wood swells. It may be just a little bit, but Peterson makes a clip-on adapter for iPhone. Excellent. I didn't know about that. Thanks, Jim. So that makes it a useful thing. But the wood swells. When it swells, it stretches. That makes the strings tighter. That's why everything was a little sharp. In the season, when it starts to get cooler and the furnace comes on, the furnace, especially if it's a forced air furnace, is a dry heat, which will dry things out. And the wood relaxes a little bit. All the strings get a little loose. They go flat. So seasonally, you'll notice some difference in your instrument. If you live in a pretty stable climate where the relative humidity stays the same, it's a lot easier. If you live in a very wet climate, I used to live in river towns. In river towns, there's a lot of retuning that goes on. When I lived in Colorado, there was some seasonal retuning that went on. But for the most part, my instrument stayed pretty stable. When I went from Colorado to Michigan, I always had to detune a quarter step. Everything, or maybe a half step, actually. When I go in the summer, especially when I go from Colorado to Lake Michigan, my D's were all E flats. And I'd retune and play while I was there. I'd come back home and everything was D flat. So I'd have to retune it up a half step. Didn't matter what instrument. All the instruments responded in the same way. Maybe not to the same degree, but in the same way. So here is an example of a stand, not to play on, but just to have your Dulcimer available to you. This one is an ultimate guitar stand. When I lived there, they were made in Fort Collins, Colorado. It was really fun. I was in I was in Scotland at a music store, and I said, these are made in my hometown, and they didn't care. They just wanted to know if I was going to buy one. So I already have them. I don't need it. I can get them closer to home. But this is an example of a music stand that lets your instrument be out. You can see I've got my guitars out over here as well. Now, let's see. I don't know if we'll be able to do this or not. Let's just see if we can. Let's turn our camera over and see if you can get a glimpse of how I have these hanging on the wall. Now, you got to look around the light. That's the problem. But let's go over here a little bit. I've got a couple more over here. Whoops, music hangers that can go right on the wall. So I've got a banjo, I've got a mountain dulcimer, I've got a mandolin and another banjo in the corner over there. So there are various ways, but the thing is, if you have a lifestyle, if you have a household that will permit this to happen, it's going to do you a world of good to be able to keep your instruments out where you can play them. Because you are going to play more if they're accessible to you. That's just the way it's going to be. Now, you may have some other way of doing that. I have seen some people who have, let's hide you because you're in the way, and let's hide you because you're in the way. We don't need you right now. There. There's the one I was looking for. So make your instrument available to you and then pick it up every time the fancy strikes. Now, here's the thing about habits. It takes, now, my wife says she's read some research that's different, but the research I've read says it takes 21 days to break a habit and or start a new habit. So that's why 2 years ago I launched a 30-day class on fingerstyle guitar, fingerstyle mountain dulcimer. It turned out for the people who are going through them to be kind of like an onslaught and drinking from a fire hose. So it was a little much to try to keep up with everything that was happening every day. But the focus was to get your hands on your instrument every day. And I've now, those classes are both available on my TrueFire channel. And let me put that here in the chat there and in the chat here. That's fingerstyle guitar and mountain dulcimer Joy. And the hammer dulcimer Joy is nearly complete. But the goal was, no, I do not want guitarist. I'm not happy with Facebook's desire to add people's names and add questions and all that kind of stuff when I'm trying to type something. Not a fan. So, so they're now available on demand whenever you want to. But the point is, if you do this every day, you're going to see some results. You're going to feel more comfortable. You're going to learn a lot more. Your questions might come faster. And that's why I'm going to suggest a second thing in a minute. But the fact is, if you get your hands, your hammers, your picks, your fingers on your instrument every day, after 21 days, there'll be a lot different about you and your instrument than it is now. And the beginning of the year is a good time for you to start those new habits. Now, what I say in my 5-finger regimen, my students always ask, how should I practice? I use a 5-finger regimen. Number 1, tune up. So every time you pick up your instrument, tune it. If nothing else, after 21 days, you'll be better at tuning your instrument. And that's the thing nobody likes to do. But you know what people like to do less? Play and listen to an instrument being played out of tune. So if you get better at that, that's already good. Now, the next thing is to warm up. And warm up can be anything that lets your hands know we're not typing on a computer, we're not taking out the trash, we're not painting the bathroom, we're not reading a book, we're not cooking, we're not doing the laundry. Anything that lets your hands remember, I'm doing music right now. And that's something that doesn't necessarily need paper. It doesn't need an iPad. It just needs you and the instrument. Just something. And so I noodle around. Remember when I said at the beginning I wasn't playing anything? That's an example of a fingering exercise that I could do. And in that case, what I did was just skip frets all the time. I've never played that exercise before. I've played this first one. I've never played that second one. I just made it up. I thought, what if I skip all the frets and I do a little syncopated rhythm over here? I just trying things. That's a warm-up. Then if you are working on something, the next thing you should do is the hardest thing you're working on. Because when you work on the hardest thing you're working on, you're freshest. You've tuned up, you're warmed up, you're fresh. And that thing is going to make you really frustrated because there's going to be parts about it you can't do. You are going to be like you're kicked to the street sometimes. And so what you need to do then is set it aside. Set it aside and go and do something that used to be hard. Whatever it is, used to be hard. That could actually be a like there's a jazz tune called Easy to Be Hard. There could be one called Used to Be Hard. So something that used to be difficult, but now, and you, as you play, you realize, oh, that used to kick my butt like this one does. But look at, I can now do that. Then memorize something. Whatever is memorized can become your warm up, and you can cycle through your repertoire in difficulty that way. So that's what the 5-finger practice regimen is about. The next thing is, when shall I play? You may say, I want to dedicate, and for how long should I play? And some people like to have, a 2 or 3 hour marathon session. What tends to happen, and those are great, I love those things too, but what tends to happen when you're going for that big chunk of time are things eat into your chunk of time. And because they eat into your chunk of time, you don't get to do it. And if you saved up all of your energy to play on this one day, 3 hours, and you only got 1 hour in, and then the phone rang and there was an emergency you had to deal with, or whatever it is, life happened, you probably don't have another 3 hour block just waiting for you to pick it up. You're going to have to schedule it in a week. And I guarantee you, if you are playing every day for 3 weeks versus 1 3 hour segment for 3 weeks, you're going to have more results. It's going to be stickier. You're going to remember it better. You're going to feel more comfortable if you've done it every day. Here's why. The brain learns things. Our brains are plastic, is the way to say it. They learn. And when we pick up a new behavior, we say, I'm going to do this, and your brain laughs at you. Yeah, you're going to play an instrument. I'm waiting to see. So you start doing it. It's hard. You can't remember anything. You fumble. All those things happen. And then you don't do it. If you don't do it for another week, you start over almost from scratch because your brain says, yeah, whatever, I told you weren't going to do this. But if you do it every day, the next day, you start on the first day, and that can be any day. It doesn't have to be the beginning of the week. Any day can be the first day. Start playing on a day. The next day, when you pick up and play again, your fingers might be a little sore. There's going to be something that's going to feel familiar as well as things that feel unfamiliar. And you're going to say, huh. And you do it a third day, do it a fourth day, do it a fifth day. Your brain's starting to say, whoa, you're serious about this. I'm going to dedicate you some hard drive space. And eventually things get encoded into your ROM, the read-only memory, the hard drive of your head. Using metaphors, of course. That's not the way the brain is actually put together. But it has that same effect because what we're doing is muscle memory. Whatever we do with our muscles, if we do it as a repetitive motion, your brain doesn't need to think about everything that happens. And so the more you do it, the less you have to think about it. The less you have to think about it, the more it sounds musical. If you're having to think about everything, it slows you down. It doesn't sound as musical. So we're keeping them out so we can get to them. We pick them up regularly, daily. And here's another little thing. Maybe you can't get a half an hour in one sitting because of the way your household is, the way your life is, the way your energy level is, whatever it is. But I'll bet you can get 10 minutes at a time, 3 times a day. That will be useful. So maybe in the morning while you're waiting for the water to boil or for your coffee to perk or whatever it is, pick up your dulcimer and do a little noodle around for 10 minutes. Then go do what has to happen in your day, whether it's work or play, and then take a break or wait till lunchtime. Make this be a piece of what you do for your lunchtime and then put it away. Or maybe you can't do that at lunch, but you can do it right after you get done with work. Then play again. And then before you go to bed, play again. That's 3 times. What happens if you accidentally play at lunch and after work and at bed? 4 times. That's 40 minutes in the day rather than the 30 you couldn't get in one chunk. And because you're doing it, picking it up and doing it over again, that's increasing the repetitions. That's helping it get sticky. And that's the way you get more comfortable with it. That's the way the learning you're working on stays with you. Now, you may also say, I don't know what I should learn. And so there are tools available for you in this day and age that were not. In the past, there were recordings. Now there's YouTube and videos. Dulcimer Crossing is a resource that we created and is hosting this live stream right now every week. And what I'm going to do is share my screen so I can just take you through a little bit. And by the way, Dulcimer Crossing is going through some fun stuff right now. We're doing some work on it. But when you get here, there's some FAQs and things here. You select the instrument, say, I want to play hammer dulcimer. Then I'm going to see all the teachers and the lessons that are available here for hammer dulcimer. Each one of these teachers has a video that introduces them to you, so you get an idea of who they are and what they're doing. Well, that's his website, sorry. Here's his introduction video. I guess I got to fix that. There you go. Let's see if this guy's is available. There it is. Bingo. And you can always go back. Here's another way to get to the frequently asked questions about how to do things. Here's the free list. We got a lot of free stuff here that can support you. Joining is only $20 a month, $19.95 for basic, or $24.95, $25 a month for premium. With premium, you get access to all the archives of these, as well as the live events we've done. We did a whole series on Leap Forward last year. And let's go back to member lessons. These lessons are all organized by skill level. We have a great absolute beginners series. And then level 2, level 3, level 4. They're organized by genre and by teacher and instrument. And then we've got the habits, all these different habits that are available to support you. When you're a member, you get access to those, as well as the live event schedule. Habits for your healthy music habitat. There's nearly 200 of these are 1-minute videos with habits for helping your playing. And then we have the backing tracks. And let's see. Oh, I'm not logged in, so I can't go to them. We have a calendar of what's been released when. We've been working on the new site since last July. That's why you're not seeing any new lessons here, because our work has been going into the back end of things. So there is that possibility. We also, there in our world, a whole lot of people who are providing. Let me share this screen. Nope, not yet. Who are providing ongoing classes. These are the 3 that I have available right now. Jazz It Up, FAC tuning for mountain dulcimer. So we're playing using jazz. It's a Monday class. And then we've got, it starts tonight, Lent Dulcimer Friendly Evening Prayer. And that's using my evening prayer service. And then the arrangements of hymn tunes for Lent that I worked on over a year ago in my artist residency for the 4th volume of Dulcimer Friendly Evening Prayer. And then beginning hammer dulcimer. It's a new year, new dulcimer. This is what I wish I'd known for the first 13 years of playing. So there's that example. A lot of our teachers on Dulcimer Crossing also are teaching ongoing lessons. Erin May Lewis is one. I saw Ken Kolodner is doing his Sandbridge retreats are coming up, so people are signing up for those. One of his friends and students, Mary Lynn Devanter, is teaching a year-long class on hammer dulcimer using Ken's. He's got a book, I can't remember, it's called Mapping the Dulcimer or something like that, but that's going on. There's just a lot available to us that didn't used to be available to us. And so right now we have so many possible resources that it's possible for us to do what we may not have been able to do before, because we don't have to pack up and go somewhere. We can stay at home, and these filmed lessons are such that they're at your convenience. You can do them at any time of day or night. You can wear whatever clothes you want. You can get dressed up and put on your makeup and brush your hair. You can shave or not. It's up to you. The point is you can repeat the lessons as much as you want. And it doesn't bother the teacher a bit. You know, sometimes you're in a class and you have a question, you want to ask the question, but you're afraid of asking the question because you think other people are going to think you're dumb or something like that. And the reality is, every time you ask a question, you're the brave one asking it for at least one other person in the room. So just don't worry about that thing. Be brave. Help everybody else out by asking the question. And sometimes you ask it and everybody goes, oh yeah, I didn't even know I had that question, but I have that question too. There you go. You've just helped out the world. It's a good thing. The other thing, I lost that train of thought. I may come back to it. I may not. If you have any questions that you want to ask, please write them into the chat right now. If you have questions that come up after this, you can always write them in the chat, or you can write to me at steve@dulcimercrossing.com. I do these live feeds every week as a way of helping to support your music making. If you have a conundrum or something, or people will come here and they'll share what they're working on. And that is always an exciting thing too. Because it is the new year, this is the day that I start teaching my kids classes. So the next thing I got to do is move things around in my studio here so I have some room to dance, because in these classes we sing and dance. That's another thing that's going to help your playing. If you can get your body moving to music, you'll feel the rhythm. And the thing that I hear from most people is they struggle with the rhythm. So if you just walk, make sure you walk, move these large muscles. Not only does it help your brain with extended concentration and clarity, it helps your body's mechanics. It helps your moving. It helps your rhythm. It'll help your music. So that's what I encourage you to do. I'm going to sign off and prepare for my class that's coming up. I look forward to seeing you next week. If you have, and I've received several different suggestions of topics that we can cover. So I'm going to have like a mailbag here, and I'm going to be drawing from those. If you have some, please feel free to write to me and let me know what it is that you want your question. What is it or write and tell me your celebration. That's cool too. People have also shared their videos here. That's another thing that's possible and welcomed.